Hi again, Blue Jacket fans. Welcome to Jackets TV and our one-on-one. This week we visit with goaltender Steve Mason. And Steve, first and foremost, who's been the biggest influence on your life hockey-wise, and who do you look up to and have the most respect for?
I mean, obviously, any player's going to say their parents. Without your parents, you're never going to get to the NHL. They play such an important role in growing up, and then obviously getting into hockey and all that sacrifice that they make to ensure that you get the the best opportunities possible. And then aside from them, hockey-wise, the goaltender coach here, Dave Rook, as soon as I was drafted to the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League, I grew as a player, grew as a person because of him. He taught me things that I had otherwise wouldn't have learned as a goaltender for the position, and even as a person from the mental part of the for the position. And growing up, I looked up to Martin Brodeur. I mean, I've said it time and time again. He was my idol growing up. I had his posters in my bedroom. Today, even I like watching him play. So I look forward to the challenge when they come to town.
While we're on the topic of Brodeur, you had the opportunity to go to Team Canada's Olympic training camp in Calgary a while back, and you were right there with Brodeur. Was there a lot of communication between you, and did you tell him that, hey, you're my guy?
There was a little bit. I think he had the idea coming into camp. I think there was a lot of media speculation around myself growing up, idolizing him. So he knew what to expect going into the camp, and for myself, I was on separate teams during the orientation camp for the Olympics there, so I didn't get to spend too much time with him. But when I did be around him, I tried not to be that fan type of person. I kind of try to play it low key. But towards the end of camp, I got one of his sticks autographs. So something very very fortunate to have been able to go through, and I look forward to meeting him again.
Now, obviously, we're talking about one of the greatest goaltenders in the history of the game. Did you get much of an opportunity to share some thoughts on goaltending? I mean, you guys are the last line of defense. Everybody's focused on goaltending.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much that I could teach him, but just watching him play, it's easy to learn off of him. He has a completely different style than I play, but just the way he approaches the game mentally. You look after how he handles himself after a bad goal. He kind of puts it right behind him quickly, and it's really helped him become probably the greatest goaltender to ever play, and why he's been so consistent over his career.
Now, growing up in Oakville, Ontario, just outside of Toronto, and becoming a very accomplished goaltender, was goaltending always the thing that you focused on, or when you were younger playing minor hockey out in Oakville, did you play defense or play up front?
It was always my passion. I didn't always start off as a goaltender though. My first 4 years of minor hockey, I was a forward and a defenseman, just trying to figure out how to play the game and all the rules and everything like that. But deep down, I'd always wanted to be a goaltender. Even before I had played my first ice hockey game, playing road hockey in Canada is always a big thing, and nobody wanted to be the goaltender, and I was always happy to put on the pads, and kind of fell in love with the position. And even though I didn't start off as a goaltender, I always knew that I'd wanted to one day be a goaltender, and fortunately for myself, I was able to live my dream.
First hockey memory and your best hockey moment?
My first hockey memory, I must have been around 5 or 6 years old in Oakville with my dad in the basement of our house getting changed, putting half the gear on for 6 a.m. practices. He'd be dressing me and I'd be half asleep, and that's just really where it all started. Those are the sacrifices your parents make. Obviously getting up early, taking to those practices, but I can remember being half asleep there, and he's putting on my shin pads, my pants and everything, and I'm kind of just in a daze. So that was my first memory.
Best memory, best moment?
Up until playing in the NHL, I think the World Junior experience was unbelievable. You get to play for your country, and then obviously I was fortunate enough to be a part of a championship team, and it's something that you'll never forget. Obviously the World Junior tournament has just passed, and for Canada it's a huge thing. Obviously we were unfortunate to lose this year to the Russians, but for myself to have that gold medal, to go through the things that we did and come away with great experiences, something I'll never forget. And then obviously right now I'm living my dream, playing in the NHL. It's something you can't take for granted. It took a lot of hard work to get here, but obviously it's a great opportunity to be here.
If you could name one or two players that you oppose here in the National Hockey League would be the toughest competitors to face.
Toughest competitors, you know, you look at Sidney Crosby. And I think obviously those are guys that are, you know, real easy to point out, like him and Ovechkin. But you know, I really enjoy watching Brad Richards play from Dallas. I think he really slows the game down, and you know, it's a real treat to watch. You know, he's tough to play against because he is so shifty, but he's a guy I really enjoy watching play.
And the situation for you, we've asked this of other Blue Jacket players, an embarrassing moment in hockey for you.
It was my first year in London. They had just come off a Memorial Cup victory. It was my first season there, and you know, we still had a couple guys away at pro camps because the season does tie into the NHL training camp schedule, and we were doing player introductions, and one of the guys sent me out early there working for the team. There was kind of a miscommunication there, so I was the only player on the ice for about 10 or 15 minutes, just standing there on the blue line wondering what the heck was going on. And you know, they were talking about the Memorial Cup victory, and I'm standing there and in London in front of 9,000 plus people, just looking like an idiot. And that was probably one of the most embarrassing things. You know, obviously, and then to make things worse, we ended up losing that game something like 10-3, and I was pulled after, you know, halfway through the second period. So it wasn't a good first taste of the OHL.
Your coach was Dale Hunter. Yeah. Now, knowing Dale Hunter as I do, he must have rid you for a while on that one.
I didn't play another game for I think it was 45 straight games. I kind of toiled between Junior B and the OHL that season, and he really made me earn my keep. You know, it made me a better person that year. You know, Dale is a tough person to play for, and but at the same time, he's easy because all you have to do is play well, and you know, that's all he wants from you is just to play well. And for myself, I learned a lot that year, and finally the 45-game stint was up, and I was able to play more towards the end of the season. But obviously, Dale, you know, I respect him tremendously as a coach and as a person, and he got me to the NHL, put it that way.
All right, let's talk away from hockey, music interests and movies. I understand you're quite a movie buff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge music person, but I love movies. Anything comedy, Will Ferrell, I love it. Me and my best buddy growing up doesn't have Will Ferrell in it, but Dumb and Dumber, the movie with Jim Carrey in it. I think we could recite the whole thing from start to finish. We must have watched that thing 300 times in our childhood. You know, to this day we'll still watch it in the summertime, just kill ourselves laughing. And you know, I think I really enjoy the comedy movies. Not much of a horror fan. Can't sleep at night with that stuff. In closing, a personality quality that you admire the most, and if there's a person behind that? I think just honesty, you know, with yourself first and foremost, but then with people around you. You know, obviously when you're honest with people, there's a tremendous amount of respect that's given to that, especially when things aren't going your way or when you're in a tough position. I think it's just being honest with the situation, and you know, my parents have, you know, really instilled a lot of positive qualities in myself. You know, they're great parents, and for myself, you know, I had a pretty good upbringing, and you know, for them, I think the honesty was the most important thing. You know, no matter what it was, if I was in trouble when I was younger, you know, I think I'd always try to beat around the bush, but you know, they finally got it into me that just come clean with it, and you know, I think in the long run, it's going to make things easier. Steve, thanks for this, and look forward to talking to you again a little later on in the year. All right, thanks, Rimmer. Steve Mason, Blue Jackets goaltender, and that's this week's one-on-one. Join us next week, and we'll have another Jackets TV one-on-one for you. Thanks for visiting.